A trip to Karuizawa in the winter. Karuizawa is 70 minutes from Tokyo by Shinkansen, a tourist area with very easy access. In winter, Karuizawa has many activities in which you can casually enjoy the abundance of nature. There are also romantic lights in various areas of the town. There are many spots you will want to upload to the SNS. Come and have experiences you can only get in Karuizawa during the winter.
And a very warm welcome to you. We're in Miyota, Japan, at the World Curling Tour Japan New Year Curling Tournament. And we've got an interesting game for you this afternoon, late in the afternoon local time in Miyota. We've got Miori Nakamura taking on Kotoka Segawa. Should be a very interesting game. Hans Frauenlob here. I'm joined by Jerry Gertz. And should be an interesting match. Team's getting ready pre-match. Team Nakamura had a very, very impressive first round game. A big 10-5 win over Team Ha from Korea. We'll see if they can carry that into this game. Team Segawa suffered a loss in their opening match. But this is a team that's been put together really with the future in mind, and we'll tell you a bit more about that as the game gets underway. Team Nakamura playing the red stones. Team Segawa playing the yellow stones. Team Nakamura will have last rock here in the first end. Good first up, tight center guard. Meishi Mahori with the guard. Yuna Harada. Team Nakamura mixing it up right away. Looking to make a play around that center guarded over curls. Taps it on the rings. Stays on the center line. There's a little bit of uncertainty there about the no-tick rule. Teams are going to replace the rock. Not allowed to move a stone off the center line. The first 5 stones of the end. So an early advantage here for Team Segawa. This lovely little 3-sheet curling facility. It was built in the run-up to the Nagano Olympics in 1998. Attempted to come around over curls. Tap your own stone, that's not a problem. Stayed on the center line anyways. Overlapped center guards though. So a good chance here for Team Nakamura to maybe duck behind cover. Be interesting to see how much curl there is. In the first round game today, wasn't a ton. Later in the day now. And this one, the amount of curl is definitely fooling the athletes. That one over curls as well. Crashes guard. Leaves everything on the center line. So quite a crowded little cluster of stones just in front of the rings now. So now it's a chance for Team Segawa. See if they can get in first. This team is a selection. It's actually a team that's combined 2 local rival junior teams, and this one is going to come up, unfortunately, short of the hog line, and that will come out of play. A little bit tough to find draw weight early in the game, especially when you're going wide. Teams tend to go up and down one draw the button path in the pregame practice, and if you get outside that path, sometimes it can just hit the binders and stop, and that certainly looks like what happened on that previous shot. How the heck so quickly you left a sweeper behind? Very nice double clear there. Team Nakamura. 2 red stones now controlling the front of the rings. So even though they're center guards, Miori Nakamura won't mind that one bit. Those are rocks that she can use. Lots of options there. Short runbacks, come arounds. Need to take a look from an overhead. They might even be close enough to split. Well, maybe not close enough to split, but they are creeping ever closer to those rings. Who's going to get in first? Very unique curling tournament, this. New Year curling in Miyota. We start the tournament in 2023, and we'll end the tournament in 2024. Coming around wide, we saw the previous stone thrown by Team Segawa come up short, so we'll keep an eye on this path. Maybe it's a little bit slower. See how much curl there is. Interesting spot, close to the spectators' benches. It's a real feature of this tournament. Remember, it's just a 3-sheet curling club. There's 10 teams in the competition, divided into 2 pools of 5. So there's 2 games going at a time. And then the third sheet, end-to-end spectator seating. So if you love curling, and who doesn't, what a great place to be right beside your favorite players. The game's happening literally right in front of you. Well, those painted rings are proving pretty elusive. Piles and piles and piles of rocks short of the rings. Misaki Tanaka taking a long look at it. Miori Nakamura, the skip, is down in the hack to throw. Skips, but she delivers at the third position. So we've had 3 or 4 down here, so the pace should be coming up. And look how much rotation she's putting on this. She's seen how much curl there is on this side. So it looks to me like she's over-rotated this deliberately just to try and hold it straighter longer. We can see how long it's tracking. And with that rotation, it should walk over late, but not enough weight to get there, so it's going to come up short. Let's see if we can get in on the other side. Who's going to hit the rings first? Is it going to be a Yuka Segawa? Sweeper's jumping this one right out of hand. Well, I can tell you already that the ice is running incredibly differently than it was early this morning in Miyota. First game, maybe 3 feet of curl, not a lot. But here we can see not a lot of carry, but lots and lots of curl. So later in the day, and this is something that as curlers you really do need to be paying attention to, ice conditions can change a lot over the course of a single day. It can be outside temperature, it can be any number of factors. But coaches tell their athletes, believe what you're seeing. Don't remember what you saw in practice yesterday or this morning. Look what's happening in front of you right now and believe that. Trying to promote some stones here, yellow, red, red. And that's very nicely done. Pushes a counter into the 8-foot, fully behind cover. So that sets up a potential 2. Very nice shot. So lots of pressure now on Kotoka Segawa. I do love the backstory of this team, though, as we take another look at this double raise. Well, back to the line locally to say this is a chance we really can't let go to really join forces and get a chance to play some of the best players in the world. So it's a terrific experience for this young team. Great learning for them. The stone is going to overcurl, come up light. Lots and lots of rocks in play, but only one in the rings. And we could see Nakamura saying, well, that double tap worked pretty good for me. Why don't you give it a try, Misaki? Well, no, gone off the double tap. It's just going to be a straight draw. I think I prefer this call. If you try the double tap, even if you make it, you're still leaving that full in-turn side for Segawa to come around. So you come down this path, maybe you choke it off, get in there first. Certainly cuts down the area of attack for Team Segawa. Once again, heavy on the brushes. Can they get it to the rings? No, it's going to come up a few feet short. Well, these players are going to earn their rest tonight, I can tell you. Ice seems a little heavy this afternoon, and it's really putting the sweepers to the sword. Makes it very, very difficult to judge sweeping. When the ice is running a little heavy, you just don't feel like the rock is carrying, and it's very, very difficult to jump on it and sweep it when you think you should. On slower ice, when you're sweeping, you feel like you're over sweeping it, and it takes real discipline to sweep it a little bit more than you probably think it needs to. As Kotoka lines it up, and then knowing to back off and realizing that it's probably going to dig in as soon as you lift the brush. This one way out at the side of the sheet, though. Is it going to stay in play? Way out on the wing. Well, I wonder if there's a little bit of a run out there that wide on the ice. She threw it there and it stayed exactly there. Didn't move an inch. You don't see that every day. So last rock to come. It will be Misaki Tanaka. Now I think we will see the attempted double tap. Probably the most straightforward way, ironically, to try and get a second point. Just needs contact with a decent amount of weight. And no. Smiles all around. Well, that was a bit of a crazy first end. And in the end, it turns into a force. It is a single point for Team Nakamura, and they lead it 1-0 after one here in Miyota.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And is the choice of champions.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Getting ready to start the second end here in Miyota. Team Nakamura scoring a 1 in the first. It was a very unlikely force, but a force nonetheless, so it will be Team Segawa playing the Yellowstones with the last rock here in end number 2. Joined now by Jerry Gertz. Jerry, how you doing?
It's been good. Great to be checking out some curling here in Japan and putting together English language feed for Curling Stadium while our Japanese friends are putting together the production locally and streaming on their own channel as well with Japanese commentary. So exciting what we can put together. Yourself calling this game from New Zealand. I'm in London, Ontario, Canada, and we're peeking into the Miyota Curling Club here.
We have got the globe covered in curling here. It is just terrific. And it is great to see not only, high quality tournament being played in Japan, but, the interest, and Jerry, you and I know the interest that Japanese curling generates in Japan. I think it is good for curling fans outside Japan to see a tournament being played in Japan, just to see how it's embraced by the locals. It is quite something marvelous.
Yeah, it's really, I think the Japanese fans are the best in the game, bar none. Coming from Canada, that's probably hard for many fans to hear, but we've done a lot of games this year with Japanese teams playing it in our curling stadium facilities in Canada, and they're always the top draw. Like Nakamura here played in Beaumont, and I believe they played another tournament as well, and you know, fifth, sixth ranked team in Japan, but still great draw on the streams. And, it's really fun to see the growth of the sport in Japan. I know my experience goes back to working with the tour and helping grow events like this. And, there was a day when Kurazawa was the only known tournament in Japan, and now there's all kinds of tournaments popping up, especially with the August series. And, this event now that is in its second iteration as well.
No, that's right. I mean, curling in Sapporo and now Miyota. I know there's ongoing discussion about tournaments in metropolitan Tokyo, Yokohama. So, yeah, the interest in the sport in Japan is, really off the charts, and it's great to see. And I love the novelty of a tournament like this that is literally spanning 2 years. It's terrific.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the interest in this is amazing too. I think they put the 2 million yen prize purse up for GoFundMe, and
Really?
they raised that as a group to cover the costs and make sure they have some funds for the event. So,
It's outstanding.
fundraise to do this, and the fans jump behind it and love it, and it's amazing to see.
Oh, that is amazing to see. That's a wonderful story. There's a hit and spill that's just going to spill off the rings, so nothing in the rings. Team Segawa with hammer here in end number 2. And yeah, that's really the kind of the story of this Miyota club. I was doing a bit of reading today just on some of the background. I've been fortunate enough to curl in Japan, and I've played with some players from this club, but I've never played in this club. But this is really one of the first dedicated facilities in Japan. It was built at around the time of the Nagano Games back in '98. And from the get-go, it's been a total community effort. So that really goes to what you were saying, Jerry, about, fundraising. It was a community effort to build the building, community effort to run the tournaments. And they're quite determined, even though they're a small town. There's a beautiful quote by one of the organizers saying, from a small town to a big romance. They're really determined to put on a memorable tournament for all these athletes. I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, I've had the honor of stepping inside this club, and you can kind of see it from the visuals here, but it's very much like a rural Canadian curling club.
Old school.
Yeah, you get the Google Maps out, you can actually find it. It's an old tin shed warehouse that does not look like anything of any significance from the outside. You look at some of the beautiful curling clubs in Japan that have popped up since. You got Kurazawa just down the road from Miyota, and it's got an absolutely beautiful facility. But
yes,
this is a small farming town down the road from the resort town of Kurazawa, and they put on an amazing show for curling fans.
It is a terrific thing, and we see that so often, not just in Japan, but certainly, pretty much everywhere you go in the curling world. Small towns that embrace curling often stage the most memorable and most hospitable events. Interesting background for this young Segawa team. Really a team put together really just for this tournament, and a terrific opportunity for them to play against some really strong opponents.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of strength come out of all these programs in Japan. This team's from the Iwate prefecture. I'm not sure if I'm saying that quite right or not, but Morioka is one of the main curling centers in that region, and I'm not certain if that's their home club or not. But you're seeing non-hotbeds of curling in Japan start to develop teams as well. You go further back in Aomori, where this Nakamura team is from. I think it was 2006. They hosted the World Championships, and the big team of that day, the women's team, was out of Aomori, but since that time, there's really been very little curling there, and you're seeing all of these regions compete against each other and grow their programs, and there's certainly rivalries between these teams.
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, there are many countries where, the depth at the top is pretty thin, one, maybe two teams, but Japan, Korea now are countries
Ooh,
where you've
no.
got, squirts it right through the hole. That's unfortunate. But you are starting to see some real depth and some real domestic rivalries start to crop up. So we'll
Yeah,
always think of.
Japan's one of the few countries that are still playing for the right to go to Worlds. We see a lot of this coming out of countries where you're seeing star teams selected, and I think there's a lot of assumptions about how Japan is run that are far from true. And the whole structure of the playdown system in Japan is very much like Canada at the same time as well, from zone regional playdowns right up into the national championship, and winner goes.
Yeah.
And so they have managed to build a strong culture around the sport too, which is amazing.
No, that's absolutely right. The All Japan Curling Championship is very hotly contested. Team Nakamura has competed at that championship. In fact, in a round robin phase, went 6-2, even up with Team Fujisawa. So this team can play.
Yeah, I think you see that out of a lot of these teams in Japan, and you see Segawa here. I don't know anything about this team, and I follow a lot of curling in Japan, and so you see names popping up that are not household names and unknowns even, and now having these domestic tournaments to play in. When these teams go play in international events, they've earned some points at home, they've got some reps in, and you're seeing that with where the teams rank on the world rankings overall. There's a very deep women's field. I think 7 women's teams in the top 50 in the world last time I looked, and it's not going to be long until a few more of these teams start coming over, and I think Japan could rival Canada for depth of the sport before long.
Well, I think at that top tier elite level, I think there's no doubt about that. There's certainly the talent and the drive, and this one's going to come up short. Ice running a little bit tougher here in this afternoon draw. But yeah, if you do the math, the Nagano Olympics, 1998, facilities like here in Miyota kind of coming on stream at about that time. So if you're a young 20-something Japanese curler, you've grown up with Japanese athletes competing at the Olympic Games. And so you've had some inspiration. So you didn't grow up thinking that curling isn't something that we do here. You grew up thinking that curling is something that we do here, and we're actually pretty good at it. So now, 25 years on, you're seeing these younger teams, not just from Japan, but from Korea, from many countries. I think that's something that I've really noticed in the last, 10 years. The skill level of young teams, they get so good so quickly. This one is going to come up short. Teams really fighting draw weight today. It's all over the place.
Yeah, you
But
wonder
there's no
if
fear, and they get great coaching.
Yeah, there's all of that, and I think you see this out of the Asian teams a lot of times, where they go out and they play very aggressive, and that's how you learn. You go try things, and you set fires all over the place, and you got to figure
Yeah.
out how to put them out. And it's so exciting to watch these teams play because they really put a lot of pressure in the game. And right here, I wonder if the ice conditions are maybe a touch of a challenge right now with weather in Miyota being above freezing. You're seeing a lot of these rocks come short here. So, like you're saying, both these teams played earlier today, and now they're trying to figure out changings in conditions, it seems.
Well, in its own strange way, for those of us of a certain vintage, you're used to playing in places where playing conditions can vary quite a bit. Now with the more modern buildings, you get much less variation over the course of a day. But in older buildings, as that one is punched through and jams on a stone in the back, hangs around the back ring, but
Oh, I guess that
will
was
be
last
accounted
rock.
too. That was that. So as we're
Behind a
chatting
couple
away,
here.
let's wrap up the second end. It's a 2-point end for Team Nakamura, and they lead it 3-0 after 2.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Asham Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Asham Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at asham.com.
And konnichiwa. Welcome back to Miyota, Japan. WCT Japan New Year Curling Tournament in Miyota. And we are underway in the third end of play. Miori Nakamura enjoying a 3-0 lead over Kotoka Segawa. Playing conditions have been tough, but Hans Fraunhoff along with Jerry Gertz. And Jerry, we were talking off air between ends about how adjusting to changing playing conditions can be a pretty important lesson for a young team like Segawa to experience in a tournament, and something that they don't see all the time. So this is a great teaching environment for them as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something that you'll see in a lot of events where you'll get changes in speed and so on to this degree, and I think a lot of curlers are spoiled for it. At the same time, I think the call for messing up the perfect conditions we have wouldn't necessarily be good for the game either. So, I think the balance of playing events at this level and learning up through this level and continuing to have these events is good for the game, but the science and technology that goes into making ice so good is what makes the shot making so good too.
Very nice come around there from Mei Shimahori. Taking a look on the replay, she ducks it perfectly behind that center guard for third shot, so good end setting up here for Team Segawa. But just as soon as we say that, lovely hitting inside flop. Half open, maybe a quarter open. There's a good look at it. Let's call it a third.
Yeah, that's a really nicely played team shot there, getting that as buried as they did. You know what? I almost like being more open like that than fully buried, because you're going to make the hammer team draw here with a mess in the front. And anytime you can prevent that hammer team from peeling the middle, you're putting pressure on them.
And we've seen that ice conditions being a little bit tougher this afternoon makes the finesse shots much, much tougher as well. That one coming well short is actually going to be short of the hog line, so they'll actually let it stop up and pull it out of play.
Yeah, I think that was better to stop.
I agree. It's one of those ones where the second that you think it's stopped, you move it. So Team Nakamura line 2. But yeah, talking about the challenging playing conditions, and oh my goodness, this is getting really tough now. Seeing multiple hog stones, and very unusual. It'll be very frustrating for the players as well. You're really having to unlearn kind of everything you've been practicing, and really, I wouldn't quite say guess, but you're going to have to make some huge adjustments, way more than you normally would, to try and find draw weight. And it's that kind of game where drawing to a spot, if you need to, it's going to be really difficult. So changes your thinking, or should be changing your thinking entirely around shot selection.
Yeah, you know what? The years of grinding through the Ontario Curling Tour and playing in some old barns and interesting ice conditions led to starting to do things like splitting, hit weights, control weight, board weight. That comes in handy when you start getting draws like this. If all of a sudden that, you got to throw a board weight time to make draw, it's a lot easier to draw when you do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again,
absolutely.
All the pieces about learning how to play, and it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. On slower ice like this, tactic I used to quite like to use, hard to do. That draws are going to come up short, but instead of playing runs to try and remove stones, you're playing basically almost full hit weight taps. And, just pushing things into the rings makes them almost impossible to remove, as we see another stone come up short. Some wry smiles from Team Nakamura. They're saying, this isn't computing. Well, you got to believe what you're seeing, really.
I'm going to go see what the weatherman has brought to Miyota right now.
A sudden heat wave, I'm guessing. Can be any number of factors, of course.
Yeah, I remember we played a tournament in the Whitby Curling Club, and it was the end of October when the weather was supposed to be, like 10, 12, maybe 15 degrees Celsius. And instead, it was like a 30-degree heat wave. And the Whitby Curling Club at the time was not built for 30 degrees, which is why their season started typically in October. And you get into conditions like this where you try and throw a stone, and it's hard to have, even keep your footing at times.
Yeah, you trade in the pad for a squeegee, right? And
yeah, absolutely. So you know they're doing the best they can with the conditions they have, and yeah, it looks like what are we at here? What's the day today? Friday? Yeah, they're sitting at about 6 degrees Celsius right now. So
Yeah, just about 5 in the afternoon local time. So the sun will be going down. The temperature should be dropping, but the only thing that's dropping right now are rocks short of the rings here. That one really just blocking the path, though. Team Nakamura lying 3. There you get a good look. Miyota Segawa taking a run at really the only stone in the rings that she can see. And this one is going to overcurl, crash the front guard. Does open things up a little bit on the outturn side, so a small bonus there. Things going very much the way of Team Nakamura here. And in spite of having a couple of stones coming up short of the hog line.
yeah, they just figured out how to get those stones where they need them, get them far enough down the sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day on our teams, if you hogged one, you had to buy a round. That was the case. These teams would not be getting up in time for breakfast tomorrow. So for sure that's not happening, but let's see where this one is headed. Doesn't want to crash that center guard and open it up, but she just feathers it over, actually improves it a little bit. Kind of takes away that yellow run back. So I don't think that was planned, but I think the result is going to be seen as a big positive. Now, are those two yellows angled somehow to get to shot rock? Look at the overhead.
Yeah, I think you got to hit it a little bit on the outside to kind of straighten it up just a little bit. So I think this red one is open enough that if they can make this hit and roll, that's their easier way in.
Yeah, certainly if they can see all of this one, this is the easier of the shots, no doubt about that.
But again, you wonder if it's actually just sort of like loaded, though, that pair up front. And if you just got to hit it somewhere close, you might be good.
Great look at it here. So that stone is indeed wide open. So good chance here. Isn't going to be a lot of carry in the rings. So I think she can afford to hit half a rock with decent weight and it should still hang around. Oh no, I think she touched the rock. So that stone was burned. Oh man. Bad break for Team Segawa. Sporting spirit though. Sweeper called the infraction on herself immediately. Said, I touched it. That stone's got to come off. It's one of the things that makes our sport so great.
Yeah, you see that in Japan especially too. It's a big cultural thing to play with honor.
No doubt that was the honorable choice. Not a second's hesitation. As soon as that stone was touched, they removed it from play. So a chance here now for Tanaka to really lock the door. And so are we going to see this double raise? There may not be much left. Well, you can play that one there. Take all the fun out of it, right? But it is the sensible shot. If she can see inside it, that's going to be the question. Talking about the stone there on the left. She can just see enough inside, I think. But boy, she's going to have to hit it hard because she's got a decent roll that she's going to have to make. She's going to have to roll, 4 feet?
Yeah, you got to come really tight to this guard, I think, to make this shot. So you know what? Bonus shot here is if you ever over curl.
Yeah, you might make it
thin.
Yeah.
Hitting thin on that top yellow might actually drive that stone back onto the top 4 stone there. So
that's true.
You know what? Get in the hack, throw it hard. Let's go.
Exactly. Let her rip. Here it comes. Final stone for Kotoka Segawa. Playing a hit against 3. Well by the guard, it looks like. Now they're sweeping for curl. I don't think it's going to curl enough to get that inside roll. Well, they get a little inside roll. It's going to be a steal of at least 1. Might be a steal of 2. Pretty close, and they're kicking them off quite quickly. So let's call that a steal of 2 for Team Nakamura. After 3 ends of play, they lead it by a score of 5-0.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Welcome back to Miyota. It's New Year Curling. WCT Japan. Miyota New Year Curling event. Miori Nakamura enjoying a 5-0 lead over the young team of Kotoka Segawa. Team Segawa with last rock here on end number 4. Hans Fraunlob here along with Jerry Gertz. Tough playing conditions this afternoon, Jerry, but
yeah, it's
Team
interesting.
Segawa can get something going here in the 4th.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they threw what was probably supposed to be a guard in the ranks after the last end.
Has somebody perhaps tilted the rink, jacked up one end of the rink? Are we going downhill now, maybe?
Yeah, so it's interesting to see here. We'll see what this call is. I wonder if the team's just trying to settle down a little bit, and even though they should be going hyper aggressive, maybe playing a clean end isn't a bad thing for their psyche either.
Yeah, it does feel like the kind of game where getting on the board is important. And now, we do seem to have a lot of glide all of a sudden, and I got to wonder if there might have been some kind of a plant problem, perhaps, that might have been sorted out. Wouldn't change conditions that quickly, but certainly seems to be a little bit more glide coming back this way anyways than we've seen in the first couple of ends.
Yeah, you can see that sometimes in curling clubs where throwing in one direction is faster than the other. I know for many years, the Brant Curling Club in Brantford, it was like a second to 2 seconds faster throwing towards the glass. And the explanation I got out of that from some people was that it was warmer at that end because of the warm room and the lack of insulation at the away end and a wall against the winter wind and everything. And the difference in that temperature would cause a speed difference. So you really got to then be able to read which direction it's going too.
Yeah, we had a similar experience playing at a Spiel in Port Moody in British Columbia. We were getting pounded and then we couldn't quite figure it out. And we were talking to some of the locals and they go, oh yeah, we all know that it's, second and a half faster coming back to the glass than going the other way. In that rink, There was literally a slightly less than perfectly level floor, but all the locals knew it. So after that, we kind of figured it out and we won the spiel. So local knowledge matters a lot.
Absolutely. That's why you got to make friends with the ice maker everywhere you go.
Totally.
Right? You got to have those conversations.
100%. That's what I say to every young team that I ever talk to. You're going to a new club or to a tournament, first person you go to seek out and say hello to is the ice tech.
That's probably a good quiz for the players. If you don't know the ice maker's name before you leave the building, leave the event, you've made a mistake.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out how many rocks have been played here. I think we're into second stones here still.
Yep, we are into second stones. That's right. Haruka Kihara. Team's playing a pretty straight up and down end here. Gets a piece, spills. One red stone belonging to Team Nakamura in the back, 12 foot. But after 3 ends of carnage front of the rings, this end looking markedly tidier. Yeah, in my experience, ice technicians are more than willing to share what they know and what they're seeing, whether they're the local ice maker or whether they're an ice tech working at an arena in a competition. Very forthcoming about the conditions and what they've got to work with and the stones that they're working with. A real fount of information.
Absolutely. Nakamura team, just digging up some numbers here. This is their 35th game on the season already
Right.
for this young team. 19 wins. Did I say 34? 35th game of the season. 19 wins, 15 losses on the year. They reached the semifinals. Let's start with their biggest achievement of the season, reaching the final of the Curler's Corner Autumn Gold in Calgary.
And that's a big tournament.
One of the biggest women's events played, period, outside the Grand Slams. And this team reached the final and then 2 semifinals at the Hokkaido Bank Curling Classic. The Dogin Classic played in August, one of the biggest events in Japan. And then Alberta Curling Series event, they also reached the semifinals there too. So, I'd say some pretty good accomplishments so far for this young team.
Yeah, very much so. That's a heck of a season, really. This one is going to skate by the stone of the back ring and skate through the rings. But yeah, Team Fujisawa gets so much attention in Japan, rightfully so. Fantastic team. But it can take the attention away from some of the other very, very good teams that are literally at the shoulder of Team Fujisawa in terms of talent and ambition.
Yeah, it's really been something that's driven our work and our mission at with our curling stadium events too. It's pretty much when a Japanese team's playing in a tournament, we'll end up featuring their games. They're going to draw the biggest audience, and the Japanese fans are so appreciative too of the coverage.
Yeah, it is tremendous, isn't it?
It's just so much fun working with the fans and being able to bring this coverage for teams that that they don't get to see nearly as often either. And like you're saying, Fujisawa is like, they're stars, not sports stars, but just
exactly
like media stars. And
yes,
they are the number one draw in curling, period.
Yeah.
Like, in Canada, we'd love to think that our audience is the best, but our top viewed games are all Fujisawa games. And
yeah, it is amazing. Sorry to interrupt, Jerry, but yeah, I was reading, I think, something that Frank Rock wrote the other day. And, so who is the number one, social media follower, curler on earth? Well, it's Shinami Yoshida by like daylight. It's not even close. You got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. And that's no disrespect to other curling athletes who have got terrific social media followings of their own. But yeah, in Japan, it is off the charts. I remember curling at a Pacific Championships in Tokyo in 2007. And this was just after the 2006 Olympics, where the Japanese women's team went 5-4 and performed very well. And that team was representing Japan in the 2007 Pacifics. And I kid you not, coming into the arena, as this stone comes rocketing into the rings and kills 2 stones at the back, leaves them lying 150 still photographers at the entrance of the arena, waiting for the team to come in. Felt sorry for Team Morozumi, the Japanese men's team in that year, because they were virtually ignored.
Yeah.
All the attention was on the Japanese women's team. Things have changed since then. The Japanese men's team have made it to Olympics as well. And so it's not just a single team getting all the attention, but you really literally have to see it to believe it. And that was an amazing day for us. We were just laughing. We were just enjoying the spectacle.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to make several trips to Japan working with a tour and building events. And I remember the first time I went to Kirizawa and the experience there for the international that's typically in December. It was 2018, and people were lining up at 5 a.m. to get in the door for the 9 a.m. draw.
That's awesome.
And then they started selling tickets for the playoffs, and now I'm pretty sure they sell tickets for the whole thing.
Tremendous.
At that point it was, first come, first serve to get your seat. But if you're not there 4 hours before, you might not get a seat.
Yeah, better camp out.
So,
That's
they're
terrific.
they're seeing the benefits and the growth of it, which is great too.
It is. Nice nose hit there by Team Segawa. They're lying 1 in the back 12 foot. Misaki Tanaka will just try to remove that herself. Yeah, that Karizawa Bonspiel was really a legacy of the Nagano Games. Of course, the Nagano curling event was held in Karizawa. So they've had a tradition of inviting international teams to come and play every year to help keep that Olympic flame alive from the time of the Nagano Games. And as you said, Jerry, it's turned into a sensational tournament. I know the international teams that are invited to play in it often say it's the best tournament that they get to play in throughout the year because of the hospitality and how much they're appreciated by the local fans, as you said.
Oh yeah, it's truly the rock star experience for teams. And the more popular the team, the bigger the explosion is. Like the Team Schuster, John loves going back every year he can.
Yeah.
Because of their experience.
Yeah. I know Brad goes, you had a great experience this year. So yeah, it's a terrific event and a terrific shot here. And that is on the nose for a single point. So Team Segawa are on the board. That will right the ship a little bit. But they trail it 5-1 at the halfway point here in Miyota.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
And welcome back to Miyota. We are at the halfway mark, and so there's a short pause here, giving the teams a chance to warm up a little bit and have a chat with the coaching staff as the Ice Techs do a little bit of mid-game maintenance. Team Nakamura enjoying a 5-1 lead over Team Segawa at the halfway point.
Yeah, you got a chance to see inside the warm room there of the Miyota Curling Club. Here we are, Team Nakamura having a little picnic break here.
We talked about Japanese curling fans. One thing that always amazes me about Japanese curling fans, they are obsessed about the snacks at halftime.
Got to know what each team's got, right?
Got to know what they're. Is it fruit? Is it candy? Is it a sandwich? Is it a bento? So people pay a real close attention to what the teams are snacking on and munching on at the halftime break. I think that's been part of the appeal of Team Fujisawa. They'll sit there at the fifth end break, and out come the strawberries, and all of a sudden the chat rooms light up.
I can't quite see what we got going on here, but
that looks like a candy.
Little peek over at sheet A. Ha Sung-yeon of Chuncheon, South Korea, gave up a steal of 2 in the first end to Yumi Suzuki. And that's not the Yumi Suzuki from Team Fujisawa, but another team skipped. I believe they play out of the Kirizawa area. I'll have to verify that. But steal of 2 in the first. Ha got a single in second, stole one in the third, and Suzuki took a single in the fourth end. So they're also in the break now, too. That team listed out of Tokyo, actually.
Right. As we'll wave hello to some of our Japanese colleagues, as Jerry mentioned. Streaming signals being sent out to Japanese audiences. You're getting an English language commentary here. A little bit of a cheer and a high five as you break the huddle and head back onto the ice.
So, yeah, there you see the Suzuki team listed out of Tokyo in the orange shirts. They're having their break. So, Ha, another top-ranked team, I think 17th in the world coming into this tournament and being given a game. We saw Sayaki Yoshimura's team last draw give up a 4 to Kai Tsuchiya, the local team here in Miyota. And I think it went 4 for Tsuchiya, 5 in the fifth for Yoshimura, then 3 for Tsuchiya to tie the game. And then Yoshimura took 4 in the seventh end and then ran them out of rocks to finish it out. 12-8 final.
Fantastic. That totally sounds like a mixed doubles game.
Oh, it was fun to peek
back
in
and
on
forth.
it. Yeah. And, you see that aggressive play and teams going after it and making things happen.
Well, speaking of making things happen, center guard is up. So even 5 down or 4 down without hammer. Team Segawa is going to mix it up, and good on them for that. Going to take a peek and see, is that on the center line? I would say yes. sitting in that no-tick zone. With the addition of the no-tick rule, players are often making these determinations themselves, but in arena tournaments now you've got officials with little right angle devices to see if something's on the center line. They've got lots of little tools now and gadgets, double
Well, if
measures for draws to the pin. Now here we go.
Well, did they determine it was on or no? I
Well,
thought that
we're
was
about to
on.
find
Okay.
out.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we talked about honor in curling, and yep, instant agreement. Yeah, that was on the center line. Off
Yeah,
it
for
goes.
any club that doesn't have any of those tools, a Scotty's box will do just fine.
Okay.
You just, you pull the box out, you put it on the
can you
ice,
trust the
beside
right
the
angle
rock.
on those things? Yeah, that'll
Close
do.
enough. Don't push it against the rock, right? But they'll give you an idea of whether it's on, on the right angle or not, or any kind of straight edge will do that as well. I don't know. You know what? I think that center line no tick zone thing is going to change the game more than we think in the types of shots that should be played after. Because I think that call that Nakamura made there to go around that center guard is a bad call now.
Yeah, you're bringing some risk in they don't really need to anymore, right?
Imagine if she makes a good one around the center line, and then Segawa would come around and freeze to it, and then you wrecked on your second one.
Mm-hmm.
Segawa would be able to put another one on top and have two stones, essentially in the power position underneath.
Mm.
And I don't like that call going around the center guard if it's a good rock. If it's off the center, go around all you want. And it's something I've been trying to get teams that we're working with to do more often is go to the wing. There's so much potential and control that comes out of preventing your opponents from making a mess in the middle. And if you can just stop them from putting double center guards up on you, you've got a great chance to score with hammer.
No, that's an interesting point, So we're going to go perhaps from leads having to make the peel of shame. Now it's going to be maybe the tick of shame, right? You're trying to come around and you're crashing the guard and you go, oops, and all of a sudden putting your team into jackpots. Maybe we're going to see a bit less of that kind of shot in the future.
Yeah, I think some of the research that we've done with analytics is it looks at rock placement and the positioning of stones, and it was kind of that thing is when double center guards were thrown, teams would have a 30% hammer efficiency and a 30% steals given up, which is awful.
Yep.
And so when you're doing that and being able to do that, you want to, run strategies and run setups that don't allow your opponents to throw double center guards with their first two stones.
Oh, and that was really the entire intention of that no-tick rule was really to try and promote more stones in play along the center line and make it more difficult to defend earlier in the end. And Jerry, as you say, the numbers bear it out. You can double stack the guards. The equation changes an awful lot. That's why seconds and thirds that can be throwing those huge weight double and triple clears are, it's such a valuable cleanup tool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the kind of shot where you can make things happen, and you have to be willing to use them quickly too.
Right.
The same part of it is if you can get double centers up out front, the longer you can delay your opponent in peeling the center, the better the chance of putting pressure on your opponents is too. Like you see here now, they could have double peeled that center, no?
Right. Now it's a triple overlap.
And that's a bit of a mistake. Well, that's a big mistake coming up that short. But even if they manage to go around that middle, there'd still be double center guards out front, which Segawa's team's got to love.
Absolutely.
And now if she can bury one under here and Nakamura may draw again. And then all of a sudden that scoring area gets really, really small.
Got contact. Doesn't quite get the little inside flop, but in the rings. And that will bring the play into the rings. Means those guards are going to live for another couple of stones anyways. Probably getting too late in the end to think of clearing them, so they're pretty much committed now to trying to get behind cover. But a 2-rock roll, if you could dial it up and order it, which of course you can't. It'd be kind of nice though, wouldn't it? Just have an app where you could kind of dial up a 2-rock roll. This one is over curling, crashing front, spilling to the wing, so something brewing here for Team Segawa. Don't have the hammer, but those center guards perfectly overlapped. Definitely something to work with.
So we got a few people. Yeah, I was just going to say, we got a few people watching online. It's pretty late here in North America, so the English language commentary is probably at a little less in demand. Shout out to Megan Edwards, curling super fan. Obviously, if there's going to be somebody who's going to be watching at 3 a.m., it'd be Megan.
Oh, well, kudos to you, Megan. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Attempted guard here is going to come up short. That's going to stop short of the hog line. That's going to get pulled. So chance here for Nakamura to make a play.
Yeah, this is the slower direction that we've seen so far, and just not quite going through the process of knowing how much they still had to throw to make that guard.
Yeah. Miori Nakamura. We've seen a lot of curl on this intern side, and this one's really moving as well. And that's all over the guards. In fact, is going to push the Segawa stone into the rings at insult to injury. So, just full 8 foot. Not really the kind of stone that you try to base a steel around, but in this situation, guard it up.
Yeah, at this point, there's no real good runbacks, or this one looks like it's going to be light again too. Definitely over curling.
Well, we've seen this a couple of times. We saw one stone earlier in the match. The Kotoka threw out there on the wing, sort of outside the edge of 12 foot, that literally ran right up the rail. So I do wonder if there's a little bit of a ridge there somewhere around, I don't know, edge of 8 foot, or if you get across it heading towards the center line, it really dives.
Ooh,
and again, this one is going to flirt with that center guard as well. So those double center guards, we've talked about them the whole end, and here we are down to the final stones, and great chance now for Team Segawa to lock this one up. Worst you're going to do is a force, and you sure wouldn't want to be drawing for one.
No, if you could
guessing a little bit on draw weight.
Yeah, if you could ever just get a hair to the inside of that yellow stone, maybe bump it back, whatever, get a little to the inside, then there's no open hit there.
Yep.
Although I think a guard in the rings would be good enough right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've got good options down that path, really. Anything biting, and then weight-wise, as long as you got good line, as you said, Jerry, you could even be back 4 foot and play that little tap you were talking about. So you've got some margin for error, which you kind of are grateful for in this situation, because precision on distance is really tough. This shot's all about the line. Job one, of course, get it over the hog line. Kotoka Segawa trying to take away that path. And this one does not look heavy either. My goodness gracious. That is a good 30 feet light. Hard to understand, really.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the ice is that bad.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I think this is just a young team learning the feel and realizing some of these changes in the conditions. And you know what? They're gonna come out of this with some conversations, and
Yeah, no doubt.
they're gonna be a lot better for it too.
Yeah, completely agree. It can just be one of those situations where you're just coming out and you're just not used to sliding a little faster on a draw. You lose your momentum and all of a sudden you're pulling the string. Playing the out turn now. Much straighter path, more predictable. Makes the hit sticks around.
Not last rock yet. Oh, goodness. Okay, there we go.
Oh, yeah, it's I wasn't going to read it.
Well, you can always correct me anytime you need to.
Yeah, no problem at all.
There we go. 2 rocks to go.
Still a chance to duck behind some cover here. Gonna need to adjust her weight. Came up super light on her first draw attempt. Hopefully she'll be thinking a nice positive thought first move out of the hack and just go right at it. It's a better looking slide. Out turn should not curl that much. They're sweeping for curl now. Not quite to nose, but they are lying to. That's a confidence building shot for Kotoka Segawa. And that will lock up the force. All right, now we can put that bug in there, Jerry.
Here we go. So we got 315 people watching over on Curling Stadium Japan. So great audience following the game there as well.
Fantastic. Great to see. So final rock coming up here on end number 5. Misaki Tanaka needs to hit in the stick. Shooting against 2. This one's making a little move. Making a big move. Gets a piece, and that one is going to spill. How far is it going to spill? Is it going to spill out of the rings? Well, I think it's a steal of 1. I'm wondering if it's a steal of 2. Tough to tell from this angle.
That was quite the race there at the back of the house.
Gee whiz. They've got a long way to go cross house to check. I think I saw 2 fingers raised in the air.
Oh, wow.
So let's call it a steal of 2 for Team Segawa. Team Nakamura giving up that steal of 2. And we head for the 6th end. We got a new ball game here, folks. It's 5-3 for Team Nakamura in Miyota.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared. I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And is the choice of champions.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
And we return to Miyota. Lovely little town, about an hour out of Karizawa. Host town for this wonderful end-of-year tournament. New Year Curling in Miyota. Team Nakamura enjoying a 5-3 lead, but they gave up a steal of 2 in the 5th. So this we believe, subject to confirmation, definitely a steal of at least 1. So we'll call it, well, I'm sticking with 2. Can't quite see the scoreboard in the background, but we'll just double check when we get a chance to have a glance.
Yeah, that's what I put on the board too. I think it was looking good.
This stone is going to come to a stop. Well, you see how quickly that did come to rest. Biting the button. But yeah, that changes the complexion of the game a little bit. Team Nakamura was cruising right along. Now all of a sudden, although they've got the hammer 2 up, things aren't as comfortable as they were a minute ago. Gosh, that had to pick. Seemed to go sideways.
Yeah, the weight really came off of that one.
Momentum is a funny thing in sport. You know when you've got it, and you know when you don't. And for this brief moment at least, the magic pendulum of momentum has swung in favor of Team Segawa. Mio Sasaki. That one will come to rest. It's in a pretty useful place, actually, even though it does leave Shot Rock exposed. Sitting on the front ring, kind of dominating access into that scoring area. Team Nakamura will just try to remove Shot Rock. Which way do you think they'd like to roll it, Jerry?
Yeah, just going through some of the chat over on the Japanese game to get some idea and thoughts behind the ice conditions and stuff here.
Oh, yep.
So, fortunately, I hadn't seen the roll here. You know, I love the roll outside here.
Yeah.
For all the reasons, right? Because you roll outside, there's a chance they're going to hit it. And if they hit it, then you can go peel the front guards and open the middle up.
Yep.
You know, now, you know, if Segawa can, you know, they're playing a hit here. It seems. I think the call, you know, the ideal call here would be to kind of tap that red stone to the back of the forefoot and create a little pocket behind the button.
Agree.
You know, the freeze is a good call, but you still got a lot of work to do to make your rock shot stone if you do that.
Crashes that center guard, which is certainly not what they wanted.
Yeah, that's not great at all, unfortunately. And
Stone at the top 12 puts in kind of an awkward spot, though, for Nakamura to deal with. Risk of a jam if it's hit on the nose, of course. And the team's going to come down and have a chat. Don't need to muck around too much here. That front stone is the one that's going to hurt you. If you choose to leave it there, that is.
it's a very aggressive call not to just go up there and rip that.
Totally. I'd be out of the hack already.
But at the same time, a well-placed draw here makes it really hard on Team Segawa.
Oh, totally. If you can wrap half around And this is one of these shots, as I'm doing commentary, it's the kind of shot that if you call it and you make it, you look heroic. If you ever got half around that top yellow, you set yourself up to lock in at least a 2 and probably set up for a 3, and then it's probably game over. But gosh, if you ever try it and you come up short or you miss it, you feel sick. It doesn't look like they're going to play that shot. Looks like they are going to make a play on the front stone.
I think you're seeing more and more of that in the elite game. As the conditions are better, they can be more trusted, and those aggressive shots pay off because if you get to go first and you make your shot, your opponent is always chasing you.
Well, this looks like a straight draw to the wing here, so the aggression is piling up.
Yeah, with that broom, I thought she was going to be ripping it.
Yeah, fooled both of us. Oh, no, I'm going to draw the wing. I listened to Jerry at the beginning of the end.
Interesting.
So, intrigue. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I don't think
that is helpful video here.
Yeah, I don't think that's helpful at all, unfortunately. And I think this is the area where a lot of these young teams still have some learning to do, and we'll see if this bites them here.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out in about 10 minutes whether that decision is going to come back to haunt them or not. What it does do, it is absolutely giving Team Segawa an option here. Put on some pressure. Now perhaps the chance to play that little tap and create that pocket.
Yeah, this is the point where you go back and say, what's our ultimate goal here? And what do we need to avoid doing? And scoring, period, is the ultimate goal, I think. Being up 6-3, playing 7, you're in a great spot. Even just giving up a steal of 1 here is not great, especially with the way the momentum is going.
Yeah, I completely agree from the perspective of Team Nakamura. Nothing in play would be preferable to having 4 or 5 rocks in play as they've got right now. Could wind up working out for them, but to use that overused cliche, they are playing with fire. You play with fire, sometimes you get scorched.
Oh, it's going to come. And, the key to playing this aggressive style is making sure everybody on the team is on the same game plan. Because if you make mistakes and you have a bad end, if look at this, just a little bit too thick, does remove the Yellowstone from the center, which is key.
Yep.
But it's the triple there right now to sit 3.
Well, you'd really have to hoist it, but there is a pocket to work with, so chance for a steal is still on here for Team Segawa. This is looking like a much better line. They do want to get some distance on the bump, though. Weld freeze isn't exactly what they want, but they do get that weld freeze. So now if you're Team Nakamura, you're looking at the situation, you're thinking, as you pointed out, Jerry, what's the mission here? If the mission from here is 1's okay, how do you lock in your 1?
It feels like the call here is the freeze in the pocket.
Gosh.
Or are they going to play a little bit of weight and try and bounce and get some separation here, maybe?
Well, that stone just delivered by Team Segawa is welded on, so if there's contact on that stone, that's going to lock.
Well, this is over curling here, too.
Yep, and here it comes onto that stone, so it will, in fact, angle lock. Does change the angle, though, red to yellow, away from the button. So angle is improved and actually overlaps and is protecting shot rock a little bit, but it is available. Problem is, hit half on the outside, spill red. There's sort of jams in both directions. So you're starting to run out of rocks, but this one still feels like a setup shot.
Yeah, I think if you could hit this on the nose right now, the red one, top 4. What are we down to here?
Down to skip stones now.
Yeah, 2 yellow, 2 red to go.
Yeah, I think you got to move that one in the top of the 4 foot out of the 4 foot on this shot, if you can. So difficult to be precise with weight, though. We've seen both teams really struggle to lock in their draw weight distance, and this one again is going to come up short. Covers the inside side of that red-yellow tap, but certainly not what they were looking for.
Yeah, Kotoka Segawa has. It seems like she's really struggled with those weight shots, especially the last couple ends.
Yeah, and I don't want to pull a Russ Howard here and talk about rocks, but it does feel like she's certainly getting different inputs than her other teammates on draw weight, and I do wonder if she may just have a pair that are running slightly differently than her teammates. But regardless the result, great chance here now for Team Nakamura to really put a stranglehold on the game here. If they can wedge one in, they can really take the end away. Lots of rotation. Of course, lots of rotation means more carry and a bit of a straighter line. Well, I think that was the shot that I was hoping that Segawa might be able to throw.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Hans. That would have been perfect.
Mind.
That would have been perfect for yellow to throw that shot.
Yeah. Does put the promoted stone into third shot position. It's a shame the house isn't livelier, because in this situation you might be thinking cross house double, red onto red, but we've seen the ice condition is slow, and I just don't think you can throw it hard enough to make that shot.
No, I think the call, you probably got to double the 2 reds and then hope your stone biting the top 4 is good enough, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. That stone out there on the right-hand side is a catcher, and so if you do wind up doubling on the outside, maybe a chance you catch that on the side and it might spin up for second shot. Shot's on its way. It's definitely got a lot of weight, but this has got an extra weight, making it go straight and goes right sailing by everything. So a bit of a sigh of relief, I think, from Nakamura as she looks overhead and says, okay, I've got one in the pocket. I feel pretty good about that. But you'd feel pretty disappointed in this situation if you just came away with just that single point. So looks like the play is just the tiny tap on that stone just short of the 4 foot.
Yeah, it looks like if she throws the same weight as last time and goes deep again, it'll stay for a second shot.
Well, this one looks like it's got a bit less weight than the stone previous. Well, sweepers don't seem to concerned with the weight. They think there's plenty of weight. Now it's all about the angle. Has to hang around the 4 foot. This one is going to punch back, and oh, it will come to rest. A little grind there at the back of the tee line. It sticks around for a 2. So the 4-point lead is restored for Team Nakamura. They lead at 7-3 here in Miyota.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
A trip to Karuizawa in the spring.
Welcome back to Miyota. Heading towards the evening here in Japan. The New Year curling tournament in Miyota. World Curling Tour Japan. New Year curling. Team Nakamura enjoying a 4-point lead. Team Segawa with last rock. Here on end number 7, Hans Frauenlob here along with Jerry Gertz. Been an interesting game, tough ice conditions.
Yeah,
Team Segawa fighting their way back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say unseasonably warm temperatures in Miyota. Tin building curling club in a small town. Not sure it's used to these kinds of temperatures, and so you're seeing some, like you're saying, some interesting conditions here.
Well, I think the other thing that's different is Team Nakamura are now saying 4 is enough. No rocks in play. They elect to throw their first 2 stones through. The other factor, of course, something that's quite unusual here in Miyota. You've got a lot of human beings in and around the ice surface, more than usual, because we've got one sheet of spectators. And of course, human beings generate heat themselves. So slightly different than normal conditions, but we, of course, welcome that. The fans love it. They love being right beside the ice, seeing these athletes compete.
I think that's a great perspective as well. The fans being out on the ice definitely affect the conditions, and it's something they have to take into consideration. So, it's a bit of a double whammy, to be honest.
Great come around there. Fully buried.
Absolutely. Here's the situation where when you play defense against double corner guards like this, a couple of good shots, and this is a 2, very easily with a mistake can turn into a 3.
Exactly right. Haruka Kihara trying the double clear. Oh, very nicely done. Moves 2 yellow stones. Gets contact on a stone in the rings. Leaves the Segawa stone in the rings. A little bit of everything going on that shot.
Looks like 2 yellows left play there. I believe it did leave one corner guard up.
Yeah, there we get a look at it off to the right of
Okay.
our picture.
One yellow left play there. Still 2 corner guards in play. Again, great spot here for Segawa to get some rocks into good positions and maybe get a 3 back.
Definitely places to hide if they can get them there. This stone is going to come up short, but guards are not terrible. If you're going to miss, better to miss in a place where you might be able to use it later.
Yeah, don't mind that at all.
Lots of distance between that stone just delivered and the rings. Both teams with plenty of time left on their time clocks. No issue there. Miori Nakamura, skip of this team, throwing at the 3rd position. Nose hit. Now, this
Nicely
will be an
thrown
interesting
rock.
call. That was a nicely thrown rock, and I like this call. Just ignore that stone. Less experienced teams or club teams, they would say, okay, it's an open one. I'll just hit it and we'll hit and roll. Whereas more experienced teams know that to get a rock in a specific spot, it's generally easier to draw there than it is to hit and roll there.
Unless your name is Brad Gushu.
Yeah, well.
It seems they can roll to the dime anytime they want.
Yeah. There are not many humans on Earth with the precision of Brad and his teammates on hit and rolls. That's a fact.
Again, the draw here leaves a lot of extra options in play. Coming short there, that is a miss, but, guards are good right now.
Guards are definitely the friends of Team Segawa. Very much the enemies of Team Nakamura, trying to remove a couple of them here. There's one, jams the second, so the guards are still double stacked. That red one rolling to the spot that it did. Now the question becomes, how do you get in there? Almost compels you to come in turn side for the right-handers.
Yeah, this has been the direction that is slower for the teams, going away from the warm room.
Yuka Segawa. Going to try and thread the needle here somehow. This one is going to overcurl. Bump the center guard. Does open a bit more of a pathway, but it's still a pretty tough way in, outside in. The way that those guards are staggered. Two rocks each to come, Jerry. At this point, do you kind of pull the chute and say, as much as you'd like to clear guards, you just sort of saying, well, does clearing guards actually help us now?
Oh, I think at this point, you run the risk of actually putting the guards in the house.
That's what I was thinking.
You hit this where you want to and redirect onto the redstone buried underneath. You'd kind of feel silly where you could just throw a draw yourself.
Exactly. Another curling cliche that I love, sometimes the best guard is second shot.
Absolutely. I think this game is made for offense, and being able to pivot is really what makes for the great players.
Yes, and knowing when to pivot, eh?
Yeah. Well, there we go. Is it going to get by?
Oh, man. Half a centimeter from a jam. And they get away with it. But still, overlapped guards if they choose to go around them. Corner freeze available if they decide to play down towards the shot rock. So there's some options here for Team Segawa. I do think the play is behind the guards, and that's where they're going to go. Just the angle on the red-yellow, offering some natural protection if they can get one edge of the forefoot, front forefoot. Tough to do. It's been very, very difficult to get draws to precise places in this game. We've seen a couple of nice come-arounds, and if there was ever a time for another one, this is it.
I think this first stone, like you're saying, maybe mismatched is a little light or a little heavy of a stone here. So see if the adjustment can be made.
Well, once again, that stone is dragging, and it will just get across the hog line and stay in play. A pretty good line.
That number 7 yellow is a cutter.
Yeah, that seems based on what we've seen in this game. It's been pretty consistent. At least they can share a smile about it. So this has been happening the whole game. Are you seeing a pattern here?
Man, I wish I knew what I knew when I was in juniors.
Totally.
Or what I know now when I was in juniors.
Yeah.
You feel like, duh.
Why is that happening? Yeah, experience is something that you earn, and this is a terrific experience for Team Segawa. Misaki Tanaka.
Lots of rotation here.
Yeah, she does favor that helicopter almost. It's not quite Tomi Rakkinen rotation, but it's right up there. And has the benefit of getting that stone. Well, did they get it there? Tough to tell from this angle. You'd measure it.
I think that's probably on from the angle we're looking at there, and really that rotation on that stone really carried it as far as it did.
Exactly. Probably added another 5 feet of distance. And that is the kind of thing, again, we're talking about practice and different playing conditions. Thinking back, to the shot of the century that Nicholas Edin threw, and, the amazing sideways spinner.
Well, that was a great shot, but I think the one that Cameron Bryce threw last year may have been even better.
Yeah. But I guess the point is that the players that practice rotation with a purpose,
yep,
and know what it's going to do to the line and the trajectory and the distance, that stuff doesn't happen by accident.
No.
I
believe last rock here.
And is it going to feather something going by? Oh gosh, it's going to skate all the way through the rings. And it is going to be a steal of at least one. We'll wait for the confirmation of the score. We'll get that trued up between ends. But it is a steal for Team Nakamura. And they've got control as we head for home in Miyota.
Just going to hold here for a second, though.
Yeah, let's just see. They may decide to continue, or they may decide to call it a day. We'll just hold for a moment here before we go for a break.
Adding a single.
Chance.
Yeah, adding a single makes it 8-3, a 5-point deficit.
Analytics would say that your day is done, but you are here to learn. But they are going to offer a concession. So after some discussion, that will conclude the game. So an entertaining game, tough playing conditions, but another win for Team Nakamura. That takes them to 2-0, and they're in a great shape here in Miyota, halfway through their round robin. So our final score again, Miori Nakamura 8, Kotoka Segawa 3. So for Jerry Gertz, I'm Hans Frauenlaub. Thank you very, very much for joining us from Miyota. Come on back in a couple of hours for the final draw of today's action here in Miyota, Japan. Thanks for joining us.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.